How's everyone doing? Really? You can't stop thinking about how Joe Biden probably eats corn on the cob like a cartoon rat. Late at night, I gotta admit, I don't think about dusty old white men. I tend to think about literally anything else. But seriously, what is everyone up to today? Because do I have a story for y'all? How's everyone doing? All right. Well, now that everyone is kind of coming on in, might as well get started with what's going on. For those of you that may not be aware, I was a community organizer, and conservatives seem to think that that just means a liberal. No, what I mean to say is I didn't get paid a conventional way to do what I did. Um, I got paid through grants, working with nonprofit organizations, mobilizing the literal community. And it was one of those um, positions where you have to do, you got to be a team player, but at the same time, you got to be able to think for yourself, where am I best needed? Um, how can I maximize my effort to help? Things like that. And I live in Southern Oregon. And basically what that means is fire season is a regular occurrence. Like, it's one of those things that you get ready for because you know it's coming. Basically that shit is scheduled. Okay. And with that being said, um lots of devastations happen because of that. People lose homes, lives, um memories, because buildings are burning down. But anyways, so part of community organizing, I was up close and personal with what it means to see panic. Um, because last year the fires had gotten so bad that even I had to evacuate uh, my neighborhood. Thankfully, nothing burned down, but just the sheer um, the smoke levels, not knowing where to meet up with other people that are safe. One of the strategies that the city had was just lumping everyone into the Jackson County Expo grounds. It's just an open area where typically we hold the carnival and concerts and whatnot. But that got filled up quick. So then that left the rest of the community to basically fend for themselves, like good fucking luck. So community organizing is not easy. Um, and I hate the fact that people are out here painting it as some laissez faire type of job. Sometimes you just live in certain areas in America where community organizing is the only way that people, society don't care about, get resources. And that's real. There is a lot of money to be made in fighting fires. Yeah, there are people around the community that I know of that have gone into firefighting. Um, it's just that usually around fire season, the fires are happening outside of the Rogue Valley. I live in Medford, Oregon, and the fires are happening, you know, 100 miles away or something like that. But nah, last year it was right in our own backyards. And um, community organizing, what that looked like was you may be affected by the same exact thing, but you're out there helping other people because you're not trying to center yourself. Um, you're actually trying to center somebody that's doing worse than you. And what I noticed is that in this work, there's still a lot of classism and racism, and it gets a little bit daunting. And I typically see it in the comment sections on news articles that get posted on Facebook. That's where I see the most bigotry in the very white area that I live in. There will be people that will justify why homeless people should be shot. There are people that will justify why um, why the community should only help uh, people that have lost homes in the fire to get them into new places to live instead of also helping homeless people get into homes for the very first time. And then they think that building shelters is the way to combat houselessness permanently. How about stop criminalizing homelessness, first of all, and then second of all, um, build homes and put people in them instead of temporary housing, and then creating all of these barriers that make it difficult for people to get into the housing. That's the issue that I'm dealing with out here. And in case you're wondering why it is that I'm so invested, it's simply because I live in this community just like everybody else. And I've been homeless in this community like some members of our community. And I'm very tired of people treating homeless people like second class citizens. Oh, they just don't work hard enough. Are you kidding? There's a lot of homeless people that live in their cars and maintain employment. It's not easy, but there are people with stories like that. So the fact that homelessness is associated with laziness is kind of fucked up, considering the country that we live in. We know that minimum wage doesn't pay for a two-bedroom apartment anywhere in America. So the fact that anybody has a roof over their heads right now, kudos, because that's not easy in this country. If you could move to a different state, would you, if it's a better place to live? There's literally nowhere in this country I would consider a better place to move to, considering I run into the same problem every time. That's interesting. Um, I see a variety of people. Um, those that are on the far left tend to call y'all bootlickers because, well, not all of you, just the ones that are like, get two and three jobs. I did. Okay. Do you think that that's living? Is it such a crazy concept that maybe perhaps one job should pay you a wage decent enough where you can pay all your bills? Why are you more comfortable with working two and three jobs? It's like the American school system really does just push out wage workers because we've lost critical thinking. I don't think we spend enough time on learning about the history of labor unions in America. Why do we have the 10-hour workday? What were the working conditions back then? How many people were murdered by cops because cops were the ones union busting? Or sometimes employers would just hire vigilantes to do the union busting. And the same people that are working two and three jobs worship people like Henry Ford. You worship capitalists and think that other people that are in the same tax bracket as you are the ones with the problem. That's weird. Exactly. Hustle culture is so cruel and unusual. And here's the thing. Um I cringe, and I'm a parent, so I cringe when um I see on Facebook posts of children working like younger than when I had uh my first job. Um like, why you got your 14-year-old working? Why are they and then, they're getting off work at like 11 o'clock. Like, what the we so I don't think we spent enough time on child labor laws in America's public education. Why is that? Because then we would slowly start to realize that we live in late stage capitalism where you have to have this internal mindset to extort labor out of as many people as possible. I feel like the secret reason that Republicans are so uh, pro forced birth is simply because if you have no other choice but to have the baby, and then you give that baby up for adoption, they're more likely to go from the foster care system to uh, the school to prison pipeline more so than the school to military pipeline. But either way it goes, their labor is getting exploited somehow. When you think about it, it's really terrible. How much money are we spending on the military, and then we're not even spending it on veterans? We're spending it on shiny trinkets. Like, what the? But people are like, we need to respect the troops. We can respect the troops by bringing them home and stop sending them to do dumb shit. I feel like that's a great way if we stop using them for imperialism purposes. So should minimum wage be $15 an hour? It never should have been. It never should have been. Today I was on my way to an activist meeting, and I saw that I think it was the Burger King in my area that was hiring people for 14.75 an hour or something. Like, it's not even $15. And that got me thinking, like, you working in fast food, a difficult job, but people shit on it and say, oh, you work in fast food. It's like, if that person did not provide that service for you, you would not be able to get your freaking 10 o'clock Whopper. Like, if they're not there working at Burger King, you don't have Burger King. That's how labor works. If you're working, you deserve a thriving wage. So what does that look like? That looks about like $35 an hour starting. Because guess what? An, an apartment out here, nothing fancy, but an apartment that's not considered low income is like $1,500. But we have people that live here that make fun of people that or look down on people that live in low income apartments. Sorry, not everyone has parents that were born with good credit that were able to help you buy your first house. That's the part that a lot of these people leave out too, is that also they have family members that help them buy houses out here more often than not. And then if that's not the case, then it's they work in construction and their dad helped them get the job. Like it is the same storyline every time out here. And I'm not knocking it. If you want to work in construction, good for you. I'm just saying that construction shouldn't be the only source of employment where you're paid a decent wage enough to buy a house. Nobody wants to work or learn. That is insane. If we're supposed to live in this high tech society where we're supposed to be the future, um, nobody actually really wanted to work. But that doesn't mean that we don't. We go out, we search for jobs, we work our asses off in order to pay off student loans. Those student loans end up not even being worth it to begin with because those student loans are like a crutch and they keep you poor. And it's almost like higher education, um, along with, uh, let's say, I don't want to say entry level positions, but positions that require uh, degrees plus experience. They want master's degrees plus 5 years experience. I mean, this all seems like only people that come from a certain level of privilege could enter into these positions of work and therefore creating a caste system. If we truly live in a society, if we live in such a quote unquote free country, why is it so hard to afford college when apparently we can send just regular people to space? Apparently, the money doesn't trickle down, it goes to space. Don't support capitalism, then, and give up your headphones and possessions. You think that without capitalism, we wouldn't have items? I mean, wow. Okay. You have a poor attitude and will never be successful. Well, actually, that's kind of funny because how people measure success is also toxic. What made you believe that I was not successful exactly? Is it because I don't have a golden toilet like Jeff Bezos or something? I mean, I'm pretty sure you don't have a gold encrusted toilet either. Um, I can say that I graduated from college. That's something I did. Um, I've worked in a variety of places. I have the experience of working at the Department of Veterans Affairs. I have the experience of uh, working at Blue Cross Blue Shield. I have the experience of mobilizing a community and participating in a grassroots organization that helped people in times of uh, a crisis, fire. Um, so I've had experience with not only being yet another cog in the system and helping people with their insurance, but I've also participated in my own damn community. Personally, I think that that's pretty successful is that you provided a service that people needed at the immediate time that they needed and people trust you for that. That's something that money can't buy, personally. But we figure it out though with grants and donations, things like that. Just effing work. That's really weird. Just effing work.
Okay, daddy's money.
Exactly. Like, seriously. Okay, daddy's money. Grants equal government, lol. Okay, so with that being said, what exactly do you think that the government should be for? Because people say that they always want lesser of it, but then the people that say that they want less government when it comes to women's rights, they want the government all up in that shit. That's what I've noticed. So with that being said, what do people think that the government is supposed to be for? Oh, you're not supposed to trust the government. Like, what if I told you that if you wanted to make a difference, you could be a part of the solution? So you say that, oh, grants equal government. How exactly do you think a government functions? Oh, there's an issue within this specific community. Okay, well, find some people to get on that. Okay, so how about participate in the process then? You talk but don't listen. It's my live stream. What did you think a live stream was for? Less government, but abortion is literally legalized murder. Whatever, bro. Yes. If we did not have a government that was for sale, then perhaps we could get some real shit done and actually look at our government in a different light. But that's not the case. Our government is for sale. Everyone on both sides have corporate interests. That's what defines their decisions, in addition to them participating in a racist system. Capitalism was literally working in tandem with racist ideals. That is the history of this country. This is one entitled woman right here. How the hell am I entitled? My experience working within the community, seeing the issues within the community, and also experiencing some of those issues my damn self, I think that makes me a productive member of the community that I live in if I see an issue, was affected by that same issue, and wanted to speak up about it and talk about it, and then educate other people so that they can talk about it in a way that they know how. Um, when I go to these protests, because see, a lot of people, not a lot of people, just conservatives. Conservatives seem to think that protests are a waste of time. Liberals are all performative. Blah 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 blah. First of all, I'm not a liberal. Second of all, protesting is supposed to be about raising awareness. And then also networking with other people that share common interests with you. And so, with that being said, you go to these protests with the mindset of meeting other people and coming up with a plan after the protest is over. See, that's an effective way to use protesting. If you're raising awareness from the outside looking in, and then from within this group of people mobilizing about something, you want to take next steps. I'm the next steps. Me. Um, I hold meetings with people. Um, I take a look at what resources we have and I try to fill in the gaps. That is what community looks like. That, and it's hard. And that was initially what this conversation was going to be about anyway. Um, because community organizing, it also comes with a lot of, I almost feel like I'm the human resources person. And here's what I mean. So I had a meeting with other activists today. Um, we were having some problems internally within our grassroots links, and I wanted to address it because I'm all about open communication, making sure that people's voices are heard. And that's the hard part, is that sometimes people's egos do get in the way, just like any other um, field of work. Egos are a motherfucker, not gonna lie. So with that being said, I had this meeting and I said, okay, so I have a Costco membership. If anybody needs supplies, call me. Um, all of these things, and also letting them know that I'm working with a tax lawyer who also has experience working with a 501c3 organization. I'm working with her to help establish uh, an organization of my own so that I can get a tax ID, because you need a tax ID in order to apply for grants as an org. So in order to acquire more funds, you need to go through this process in order to do that. It doesn't just happen overnight, but that's what it takes. So when I had the conversation with everyone, everyone seemed on board. However, uh, people don't have an issue with me. There is just some discrepancies within the groups themselves. People are having issues. So basically, it then becomes being a mediator between people who have beef with one another. And here I am telling these people, okay, listen, you're going to work with people that you don't like in this field of work, but we're about transformative justice. So even if you don't like that person, you're still doing something important for the community, right? But that's not enough, because if there's turmoil within the groups, the job isn't going to get done well or get done correctly because people's needs aren't being met. So then it turns into, okay, well, we need to have a conflict resolution meeting where we lay it out in the open and we handle abusive situations properly. If we can't mobilize ourselves and organize ourselves and handle mental well-being properly, then we don't deserve to be in transformative justice, period. And that's the part that they don't tell you about being a community organizer. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of everything. You learn on the job, I can tell you that. You have zero experience with everything you speak on. I beg to differ. And what made you the expert on that exactly? I what was the expertise that you wanted to share with the rest of the class? Because you define oppression incorrectly. That's kind of the problem. Let me ask you something. Do you think that black figures in history were no longer oppressed simply because they made it into a chapter in your textbook? Because black people are able to be successful. However, we still have barriers that hindered us from doing so. Liberal arts degree. Well, actually, it was for medical coding. So medical billing, that thing that uh, hospitals and insurance companies need in order to pay people, pay the right people. Cool, you're just like the Proud Boys. How exactly am I like the Proud Boys? Because for one thing, Proud Boys have no plan. They dress terribly. They're misogynists. And I can't stress this enough. They have penises. I don't have a penis. Like, it's kind of in the name, Proud Boys. I'm a woman and I do grown woman shit, and they some busters. Do you have a liberal arts degree? No. How much income does activism bring in? I mean, grassroots organizing does not bring in a lot of money, but then again, you don't go into this work expecting to get rich off of it. It's basically just enough to get your bills paid and doing the work that you're doing. And then you also have to put in the work to um, fill out applications for grants. So that's why grant writing is a valued skill. I don't have experience with grant writing. Other people that I know do. But my job is to uh, put that grant money to action, make sure that it goes to the right resources and things like that. And the issue is that I have come across people that have taken advantage of 501c3 organizing. They exist, and to deny that is irresponsible, I should say. What kind of headphones are they? I don't really know. I borrow them from my roommate. Resources equal salaries. Well, that's just it. The kind of position that I had, I didn't have a salary. I would get paid a stipend. I wouldn't get a legitimate paycheck. I would literally get enough to hold me over while we're getting the project done. I can assure you, I did not get rich off of doing the work that I did. But this is about, improving the community in which I live. I can either sit here and complain about how racist and how classist my community is, or I can do something about it. And personally, I choose doing something about it. Wow. So we just didn't think that. Okay. So for everyone that says that they're not racist at all, y'all are in my comment section, and there's a person that said, go back to the plantation. They have chicken and watermelon for you. So y'all are cool with that. That's how racism works, is that y'all are cool with that. Okay. Blocking you. Disgusting. Literally talking about helping my community, and again, aggressions like that. Community organizing while black. That's really that's really aggressive. You randomly see a person you don't know and you automatically say convert to my religion. I'm gonna have to say no. Gonna have to decline. Thanks anyway. But I just wanted to no, it's because you have such a victim complex. Okay, so first of all, that's ridiculous. Second, so you're telling me that a person that has a victim complex deserves to get called racial slurs and stereotypes. I mean, if you just say you're racist, you could just say that instead of saying you have a victim complex. Just say it's because you're black and I hate that you're black. Just say that. Just say that. It'll make you feel better. I promise. Like, stop lying to yourself and everybody around you. Okay, whatever. It's like, whatever. Okay, edgy teenager. Come on now. You're doing a difficult job. Thank you. Well, thank you for listening. Truly. Um, and it is a difficult job because at the end of the day, I don't want to deal with people's petty grievances, but you need the community to help the community. So you're going to have to teach people conflict resolution in order to get anything done. And if you can't work well with others, then you just can't be in in community organizing work. Hello. So I think I've brought this up a few times, but I'll bring it up again. Um, I've started reading this book called Beyond Survival, and Basically, it's for people that do community organizing. It's a nice book about the experiences of other community organizers and what they've had to say about being in the field. And there's this really great article, or chapter, I should say, called What to Do When You've Been Abusive. And I'm reading that entire chapter right now because when you're working with other community organizers, other activists, people's egos are going to get in the way. And so, because people's egos get in the way, the goal does not get reached. Shit does not happen because of people's egos. And so, with that being said, part of what I also have to do is become a human resources conflict management type person. So I tell people to get this book because I also use it my damn self. I'm not going to suggest to anyone to get a book that I'm not going to read personally. That would be unethical. But anyways, so it goes through it step by step, what to do with you when you've been abusive. Number one, listen to the survivor. Take responsibility for the abuse is number two. Number three, accept that your reasons are not excuses. Important. Number three, don't play the survivor Olympics. Number four. Number five, take the survivor's lead. Number six, face the fear of accountability. That is so important. And that's the biggest issue that I face when trying to get people to resolve their issues like adults, is the fear of accountability, is that people are not willing to take responsibility for their actions in that conflict. And number seven, separate shame from guilt. That's even I struggle with that. To get up here and say that, oh, I got to fix everybody else, but I'm the perfect one. That's bullshit. No, I'm not perfect. Because I have to follow these rules too if I want to be successful as well. Number eight, don't expect anyone to forgive you. Okay, that's going to be a hard one for some people. And if we're community organizing together, I would hope that at least a professional relationship is maintained. I would hope that people don't go into this thinking that they're going to be friends with everybody. I feel like that's something that everyone needs to take a step back and look at. Oh, and here's the final one. Forgive yourself. So don't expect other people to forgive you, but you should forgive you. And also, that is another thing that I myself struggle with. I'm honest. I struggle with forgiving myself. I struggle with what was the other one? Taking the survivor's lead. That's something that I, struggle with. But even though I struggle with that, that doesn't mean that I can't work on it. And pointing that out to people, I don't know, teamwork makes the dream work. And if we're not maintaining ethical teamwork dynamics, we're not going to be able to accomplish anything. We're going to be a laughing stock to the people that oppose us. We're not going to get taken seriously. So it's imperative that people do take this book seriously if they're getting into the transformative justice world. So that's my 2 cents on that. So I'm hoping that that I get to talk more about that when I do my live event. November 1st, 9 p.m. Are you talking about taking over for the police? No. I will say, though, that when it comes to mental health crises, I don't believe that law enforcement should be called. And I recently had a situation where I had a coworker of mine, well, ex coworker, I should say, um, an ex coworker go through a manic episode. Their parents called a police wellness check on them. So I had to get with another group of mutual people that we knew, and we got a hold of their mom and said, "Hey, can you please call off the wellness check? We'll take care of it." And then we tried everything in terms of trying to get a mobile crisis unit out to where we were, um, to help my ex coworker through their manic episode, but they wouldn't come up to our residence. They said that they don't make house calls. It has to be in a public area. And I'm like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. If a person is having a manic episode, shouldn't the first thought be to get them away from uh, the public because you're keeping them safe as well as others safe? But whatever. So then we ended up having to get my ex coworker in my car and drive them to the hospital and beg and plead them to keep my ex coworker in the hospital overnight because of their manic episode. But the main takeaway from that is that we kept law enforcement out of the picture because my ex coworker is a black femme. Okay. And if you're in community organizing and you are a firm believer in defunding the police, well, then you need to lead by example and show what does it look like to handle a situation without cops. Okay, I'll show you. You do know that manic people get violent. I literally just talked about my experience with getting a manic person to the hospital. Were you like, yes, I know. I was there. Like I said, get this person into the back of my car. And we did. And no one got hurt because we handled it. Like I just said, like I swear to God, mansplaining. It's misogyny makes you stupid. Um like a person is literally just describing to you their experience with handling a crisis of a manic person and you're like, you do know manic people get violent, right? No shit. Like no shit, buddy. They're still my coworker. They're still human, and I want to keep them safe from law enforcement. Like you really think I'm about to be out here letting white men in uniforms and a badge manhandle my ex coworker? Ew, could never be me. Okay. Destigmatize mental health crises. Exactly. Exactly. And it's one thing to tell people we need to defund the police, but it's another thing to actively show that community members can handle um, mental health crises. They just need the resources in order to do so. So, whether that's a mobile crisis clinic, whether that's taking de escalation classes so that you can be that mediator, whatever's necessary, but it doesn't have to be law enforcement every single time. We give them so much power, and yet we forget to just do shit ourselves. You want no police? Go to Africa. You think there's no cops in Africa? Oh, you sweet summer child. Honey, I'm white. Is that okay? Sometimes I feel wrong to want to be in your orbit. Is that weird? I mean, no. It's I've been black for a long time. It's kind of expected. Believe you me, buddy. Seriously, and they can't help themselves with the racist comments. I'm literally talking about community organizing and people just want to be racist. It's like just another day being black. What would you consider an age difference between marriage? What? It's an odd question to ask at a time like this. What headphones are those? I don't know. I'm not a gamer. I just borrow these from my roommate. And people keep calling me privileged, and it's like, these aren't even my headphones, bro. Yes, I strive to be a white anti-racist. Yeah, yeah, that's also part of my job as well. Is that I live in Southern Oregon, and so anti-racism work has never happened here, and so we're basically against some pretty huge odds. But that's just it. There hasn't been a time in history where that hasn't been the narrative. Is that you're always against odds when you're trying to make positive change in America. So, with my community activism story, I bring it up to say this is that um, because I'm in the process right now of conflict management with people that I work with and want to continue to work with, um, there's also the fact that I told them that we need to have this conflict resolution meeting or series of meetings before major holidays hit because homeless people struggle, especially during major holidays and especially during the winter months. And I'm like, okay, listen, I understand you don't like working with some of the people in the activist groups, but we still need volunteers. And I understand you may not like the person that you're volunteering with, but it's not about you, also. So I'm like, okay, write down your grievance, write it down, write it in full detail, and we will address every single one just at a more appropriate time. And so just working around like other people's boundaries and emotions, it's fucking exhausting. And in case it wasn't clear, yes, I am an Aquarius. I am guilty. She's going to block me. I mean, if you don't say racial slurs, I don't. So yeah, it is so exhausting. And January or February, January, January 21st, y'all. So a lot of people seem to think that community organizing is going to be this really cool montage of awesome things that just work over perfectly, that just go by smoothly. No, it isn't. Oh, you're in Houston, Texas, and you were in Seattle, Washington. January Aquarius. Like Oprah. Okay. Well, one thing's for sure, though, is that um, I told people, the community organizers that I was talking to today, I told them, I was like, listen, so if we can't handle a mental health crisis without law enforcement, then we don't need to be community organizing anything. We don't need to say defund the police if we can't handle a mental health crisis as a community. And so, with that being said, everyone was in agreement. And I was like, okay, cool. So, how do we move on from that? Well, thank you. I am trying to smile a little bit more because holy shit, dealing with other people's disputes and grievances is fucking exhausting. What has BLM done for black communities? You ask that as if you've ever cared about the black community, and we both know that you don't. So, what would be the point of bringing up what has occurred within the black community if you was never invited, you was never like you never cared, you never received a newsletter? Like, what? Why? You don't answer because you can't. I mean, in case you haven't noticed, um, for me, Black Lives Matter is a mindset. So I'm out here saying Black Lives Matter. And at the same time, I'm also helping the community in which my black ass live. See, I can talk about race and I can talk about class issues and I can talk about mental health issues because believe it or not, race plays a part in every single one. You can't be out here saying all lives matter if you're not willing to listen to the the different obstacles that people have to go through simply based on their race. And that's the unfortunate part of the society that we currently live in. And I know that that pisses people off. America has never tolerated a black liberation movement. So why would I expect people to care about a liberation movement now? Literally, black people have said, "Hey, can you please stop using the cops to kill us?" And then society was like, "No." And then y'all want to blame Black Lives Matter on every goddamn thing. And it's like, we're talking about systemic racism, and y'all are trying to do any and everything to remove the spotlight from systemic racism. If we addressed the margin, we can remove the margin. I would love to support BLM. I lost respect after the cities that got destroyed. Well, basically, that's a lot of words for saying that your allyship to the lives of black people was conditional. I was okay with the liberation of slavery, but these slave revolts have gotten way too violent. That's what you sound like. But it's also been documented that white people have said that in the 1800s. Also, the other reason why I chose to do the Uncle Tom's Cabin book discussion is that the author talks about the fact that, oh, just be nonviolent. Yeah, I know you're going through slavery, but just don't be violent about it. Just be nice. Hugs and kisses, thoughts and prayers. You will never go forward if you're always looking back. I mean, clearly, you never looked at history to begin with. The fact that we don't talk about history is the reason why we keep making the same ass backward mistakes. If you don't address the problem, you will never grow and learn from that problem. Yeah, exactly. The fact that people, okay, so there was this, I don't know, a cousin on my son's white father side of the family. His name is Sean. But, anyways, so he was saying that everyone, not just, or the way that he put it, he was saying not just black people have been lynched or something like that. And I was like, wow, this is going to be a really racist rant by a redneck. I better brace myself. So this guy goes off on a tangent, shows me a an encyclopedia uh page, like he screenshotted an encyclopedia page that had the definition of what hanging is. Okay, so you think that lynching just means hanging by a rope. That's the first issue, is that you think it's just that. So I had to explain to him that when it comes to racism, white mob violence got creative with how they lynched black people. And a lot of times it involved fire. It involved burning black people alive. And there's an entire book dedicated to talking about this specifically happening in Texas. But this is something that, and this is why I hate white mansplaining so fucking much, because they think you're stupid. But it's like, no, you're just the one that seems to think that lynching just means hanging. Yes. And the one thing that I tell people is this, is that after quote unquote slavery ended, there was no mass support, um, anti-racist education classes or seminars. No, it was more like, we're gonna mobilize the Klan and we're gonna kill black people because they're newly freed. That's what happened. And this country has continued to use stereotypes to justify why black people should continue to be murdered for no fucking reason. You're trying too hard to be a victim. I have yet to play a damn victim, okay? Exactly. I always say, if there is one nice snake in a snake pit of 100, are you going to walk in the pit? No. I know I won't be. And there have been plenty of times where I have called out how conditional some white folks are when it comes to the lives of their so called black friends. And I say that because I live in a predominantly white area, so I was somebody's first black friend and last, more than likely, simply because I would tell them, okay, so I saw what you posted on Facebook and I'm trying to let you know that's kind of fucked up and here's why. And then they'll be all like, what? I'm not racist. And me calmly explaining why it's racist. And then they just deny, deny, deny. And I'm like, yeah, you want a black friend just as long as that black friend doesn't bring up racism ever. They're a dime a dozen. Someone who was constantly a victim. Uh, I don't know if you're new to America, but nobody plays victim like a Karen. Yes, 10 white friends over Trayvon Martin because you found something out about those white friends that you typically wouldn't have had Trayvon Martin not been murdered. And it our first and the reason why it takes so long in order to realize this about our so-called white friends is, we don't automatically ask them, how do you feel about black people being shot in the streets? We don't bring that up when we're meeting somebody for the very first time and we're trying to spark a friendship. We don't. I feel like I should start. So what does pre-civil rights have to do with today? Well, the fact that the assassination of Dr. King and Malcolm X were treated as if that signified the end of racism, that was the signal, and it wasn't. Or that's the way that it's portrayed in American classrooms. It's not. The fact that people think that the civil rights era was the cure all solution. No. Um, being anti-racist means that you have to constantly put in the effort and the work to be anti-racist. You don't pass a magic bill and everything is cured. No, you must do it, and then you must do it all the time. There was, from the very start of this country to right now, there was so much effort put in to disenfranchising black and brown communities that there needs to be twice as much effort to undo what the hell has been done. But racist white people get butthurt when we bring any of that up. They want to get applauded for the bare minimum. They want to get applauded for less than the bare minimum. BLM took money and ran. You want to know what's really funny about these same people is that you did not care about the black community before the Black Lives Matter organization, not the mindset, but the organization was founded. You did not give a fuck about the black community at all. So I guess with this mentality, then we should still treat Germans as evil people? No. And you want to know why? Because in Germany, they put in the work to educate the next generation about the concentration camps. They don't leave shit out in terms of what they did to the Jews. They don't. America, on the other hand, whitewashes what the hell slavery even was. Which is why you have white people today equating mask mandates to fucking slavery, or equating mask mandates to the Holocaust, or equating mask mandates to segregation. The entitlement. This is about your ex-boyfriend, isn't it? No. He's in prison. What else is there to talk about? Exactly. And I feel that. I feel that because of what America was founded on. And conservatives don't even know that they're saying the quiet part out loud. Is that they're protesting against America. This goes against America's ideals. So you're saying it out loud. Is that fighting against racism is going against America's ideals? Okay, at least we agree on something. To act like nothing has changed since the 60s is ridiculous. Okay, so instead of saying whites only, employers will say, we're not hiring. If I don't think y'all understand. Um, I have seen in my own lifetime multiple situations where white people will justify why black men, black children, and black women deserve to die at the hands of a cop or at the hands of a white vigilante. Every time. That lets me know that not shit has changed since the birth of this country in terms of how white people feel about black people. Because you wouldn't put so much effort in in creating a system of uh, racist laws and processes unless you hated black people that much. If tomorrow white people could voluntarily opt out of diversity, things would improve. Just say you're racist and go. It's like if white people were concerned about not wanting to have diversity trainings, they shouldn't have stole people. Your ancestors shouldn't have stolen Africans from Africa like that. If you The reason you have diversity trainings now is because your ancestors couldn't mind their business and leave people the fuck alone. So now I'm here looking at y'all white asses. Shit happens. Yeah, like how do you opt out of diversity? That's a great question. How do you do that? uh exactly. They shouldn't have stole people. We would not be here. Cause I can assure you, I would be minding my black ass business in Africa. So do you like white people as a whole? See, that's just it though. Um, in order for me to hang around you voluntarily, if you're a white person, is I have to make the determination of if you are willing to address microaggressions when they happen instead of gaslighting me when I call them out. So, with that said, only on an individual level will I, on some level, fuck with you. To be honest with you, I was raised to just, be cordial and respect people on a daily basis. So, in terms of as a whole, I'm not just going to find a random white person and yell at them. That's fucking crazy. It's just that I don't have to fuck with you like that. So when something doesn't go your way, you want to play victim. That's what a Karen does. Exactly. I can tolerate them because we have to. We have to tolerate them. We have no other choice but to do so, considering the country we live in. Yes. To be perfectly honest with you, your ancestors were more than likely racist as fuck. Even if they served in the Union Army. That's what a lot of people don't understand is that just because your ancestor served in the Union Army, that they very well could still be racist as hell. Do you Because people don't realize is that at the time you could be against slavery but still think that black people are inferior. And that's the part that a lot of people just don't want to look into. The fact that scientists from the 1800s were trying to say that blackness is a form of fucking leprosy. If you are a person of science in the 1800s, yeah, you're racist. Like immediately, simply because science of the time was racist. And it was a white male dominated field. That's It takes unlearning. White Americans specifically, white Americans, because that has been my encounter with just white Americans. Because guess what? People that would be considered white here but live in other parts of the world, see, when they think of white people, they also think of Americans. Because in other countries, they don't identify as white. See, I'm all about dismantling whiteness. There is nothing wrong with Polish heritage, Irish heritage, Italian heritage. There's traditions and cultures behind that. But with whiteness, it was specifically designed to be in opposition to blackness. That was its origin. Whiteness came from race science. Do you know any racist black people? Well, no, because black people can't be racist. We can be prejudiced, though. Prejudice, yes. Racist, no. If America is so terrible, then why are so many people of color coming to America? Because we keep bombing their countries. We go through this every live stream. Do you really think that people just want to come here? No, we are bombing the fuck out of other people's countries and call it liberation. That's America. That's America. And that's the one thing white people will refuse to address is that they are so quick to call out reverse racism and never address their own. No, black people cannot be racist. I do not have the power to oppress you. I can't run up into a gated community and bomb the shit out of it and get away with it. I can't do that shit while black. I don't care. Not because I am racist, but because I am not from the USA. Okay, well then I would have to pass the mic on to the black people that live in your area. Damn. You thinking that people are bad because of the color of their skin is racism. No. Um oh my god. Do you know that the one thing that stuck out for me about the Emmett Till story is that it happened because a white woman lied. A white woman's tears. The white woman didn't kill Emmett Till, but she still had a hand in his murder. So it's because of shit like that. For safety reasons, no, I don't trust you. For safety reasons, I don't trust you. If I don't fuck with you like that, it's for safety reasons. And no, I will not be explaining further. Get up a book. Like, get a book, open it, read it, marinate, let it sit for a minute, and then open it up and read it again. But that's racist, though. No, it's not. Just because your feelings are hurt or that your whiteness is being singled out and being the direct reason why black people may not want to hang around you or be around you or be made readily accessible to you, that's not racism. That's called protection. Because of America's track record, black people have a reason to feel this way. And I know that that seems like I'm attacking you. It does. But see, that's just it though. I'm about to use this book that's about transformative justice and I'm about to use it as a tool for anti-racism. Number 1, listen to the survivor. My interactions with white people, I have my reasons. Along with looking at history, having reasons to have certain boundaries in place in order to keep my black ass safe. Does that hurt your feelings? Probably. Do I care about those hurt feelings? No, I do not. Just because you feel attacked, that doesn't mean that that was racist. No, it just means that you feel attacked. 2 years ago, a black man broke in my house and treated my family. Okay, so let me get this straight. All it takes is for one bad altercation with a black person in order for you to believe that black people are less less than. All it took was that one scenario. It's like we have centuries on y'all. Centuries. Exactly. Like y'all will say, "But I got robbed by a black man. Can I be fearful now?" You're asking if you can be fearful of all black people after that one situation that occurred with the person that broke into your house. That's how whiteness works. That's how racism works. Is that you think that all black people is fitting to do that to your ass. That person didn't do that because they were black. They did it because they broke into your house. Meanwhile, black people as a whole have a long track record that goes back centuries for why y'all can't be trusted. Centuries. That one black person breaking into your house will never measure to the centuries of white people stealing us, stealing artifacts from Africa, just stealing in fucking general. If you stop and think, you will realize you are being racist yourself. No. Why are y'all keep trying to white mansplain what racism is and what isn't? That's why we're going to continue to have these problems. Is because instead of checking the racism that we currently have in place perpetuated by whiteness, we want to critique black people some more. That's just it though. He also said BLM raided his home. Oh my God. Really? Okay. So we wasn't this pressed when the Klan was raiding black people's homes. We wasn't that pressed when the Klan was bombing black people's neighborhoods. See, we are never that pressed when shit's happening to black people. But oh, if you break a toenail while white, oh, the whole world got to stop for your ass. Two wrongs don't make a right. Okay, and two wrongs don't make a right. I have yet to say, hey, we should do exactly what white people have done to us. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying we need to address systemic racism. It makes no sense to do to you what's been done to us because that does not get rid of the oppressive system. That just changes the power dynamics. That's not what we're here for. I don't want to change the power dynamics to the point where I am now the person in charge of the oppressive power. No, because then that would make me no better than your fucking ancestors. Think, people. What's the solution? That. Address the whiteness. Address the caucasity. That would be the issue. Is that people can't whiteness can't get past its own ego. We are so quick to overly critique black and brown people with their response to microaggressions, stereotypes, and racism perpetuated by white people that y'all don't even critique y'all damn selves. Y'all so interested in what's going on in the black community, but won't address your fucking own. So if the system is so oppressive, how did you end up with a black president? It wasn't for lack of fucking trying. You say that as if we had 49 black presidents. We had one, sir. One. This country is how old? I wonder what was the reason we couldn't get a black president then? Just because we've had a black president, that doesn't mean that racism magically ended. This kind of shit that I'm talking about. White people, whataboutisms. Well, if racism still exists, how come this? If racism still exists, how come there's rich black people? Bitch, it was rich black people living in the 1800s. Y'all just don't learn about them in your fucking white classrooms. That's not my problem. Pick up a book. And it's so fucking sad. Like, this is why, like, white people will literally choose to be disingenuous because it derails the conversation. They hate it when their whiteness is centered. The best way in order to keep the power going is if you continue to racially gaslight black and brown people and discontinue the conversation completely. It's like, I'm not in this work to cater to egos like that. Do you have any white ancestors? I am an African descendant of slaves. So, yes, yes, I do. For obvious reasons. I swear. Think. Yes, they will always be fearful of retaliation because they think that that's what we want. Personally, what could I possibly do with the disenfranchisement of white people? Personally, the only thing that I want to do is dismantle capitalism. Um, Personally, what I want to do is dismantle imperialism, remove the European powers from Africa's resources, and be left the fuck alone from white folks. It's the angry black woman syndrome for me. Wow, it's the literal black stereotype for me. I have never looked at people by their color, if then skin, but you're making me think otherwise. Okay, it didn't take long for you to say, I will now judge black people by the color of their skin because there was one black person on the internet that made my whiteness feel uncomfortable. Just say he was racist before then and you was just looking for a reason to let it shine bright like a motherfucking diamond. Get out of my face, Kathy. I am not here to coddle white feelings. I don't know what made y'all think that. If you want a black woman to coddle your white feelings, Candace Owens' information is Google it. Exactly. Wow, what a disingenuous way to look at history. Just say you don't know history and go. Everyone's ancestors have been enslaved. Not everybody's ancestors were fucking chattel.
I probably have several ancestors that were thralls, but they weren't treated like fucking property.
If you can't tell me the difference between serfdom, vassalship, and chattel, we don't need to continue this conversation about what slavery is. Okay? Thank you.
Don't forget
Goodbye. Like, just stop while you're not ahead. But anyways, not only do I do community organizing that's about helping homeless people, I also have anti-racism conversations with white people. And yes, I get paid for that shit because there's no fucking way I'm doing that shit for free. That's why I'm really not trying to give it my all with this comment section because I'm not getting paid for it. Honestly, if I wanted to rip you a new one with some facts, I buy books for a reason. But the fact of the matter is, if I'm not getting a check, I'm not about to put in no effort. See, you can buy the books your damn self and educate yourself, but I ain't got to. Not if I'm not getting a check. White people are afraid of being secondary citizens and having to depend on the people they oppressed. Exactly. Because they can't take the shit they dish out. We have seen so many examples of this. We've seen it. We've seen it. And then what really grinds my gears is the fact that I've had to explain to white people why it was bad that a white woman writing a book about slavery and it being an anti-slavery novel, so therefore it's justified. Why it's wrong that that book received more popularity than the black people of the time that were writing about their own experiences with being enslaved. You are a white woman. You were never a slave. Why are you writing a book about an experience you've never had? Meanwhile, there were plenty of black people that we could have learned from. See, even with learning about the experiences of black people, they want that narrative told by another white person to make themselves feel comfortable. They want to do the deed. They want to participate in the system, but in order to feel better about themselves, they want the story of what they did told by a white person. And I think that's astonishing. Because if it's told by the person that they're actually oppressing, we're not going to hold back. We're not going to censor their feelings. We're not going to coddle them. We're going to tell them exactly how it is, which is exactly why the pet Negro system exists. When Zora Neale Hurston wrote about the pet Negro system, what she revealed was the fact that instead of addressing the racism, white people will get a token black person, a token black friend to use as a buffer between white society and black people and go, look, here's one of you. And they're saying that there's no Warren Bossing say, there's no racism here. Look, because my token said so. And how can I be racist? I do have a black friend. Look at my token. Look at my lapdog. We saw this with the Reagan administration. That's who Thomas Sowell is. But white people to this day will quote Thomas Sowell. Oh, he's black. He must be a champion of the blacks because he's also black. Like, y'all not slick. How do you feel about mixed races? I have a mixed child. He's still black.
Very weird question to ask. Felt very 1960s.
Right, they want everything Karenized. Amen. So biracial people are supposed to hate their white ancestry? Absolutely 100 fucking percent. Deny the whiteness, but absolutely, if they take a DNA test and they find out that they have a Polish ancestry or an Italian or Irish, see, they can learn more about those particular cultures and traditions. See, that's okay, but don't identify as white.
Take pride in European cultural heritage. Don't take pride in being white. This message has been brought to you by a non-racist white guy.
Yeah,
Or 11.
literally just be proud of your cultural heritage. Just don't identify with whiteness is the point. And plus, by the sheer definition of whiteness, mixed kids can't because of the one drop rule. And y'all are getting mad as if black people created this rule. We didn't. We're just calling it out. White people invented that shit. Thomas Sowell is a scholar and intellectual. What exactly do you disagree with? Have you. There is a book called How Capitalism Underdeveloped Black America. And it was written by an actual intellectual by the name of Manning Marable. Please read that book and learn why Thomas Sowell is not an intellectual. Good day. So you are saying no matter how white people treat black people, we are only racist. You're talking about on an interpersonal level. Race or racism is a system. So white people created a system that marginalizes black people. So on an interpersonal level, you could be the nicest white person to black people. That doesn't take away from the racist society that we live in. And that's just facts. See, you have the power to keep that oppressive system going. See, this is about a power dynamic. We are addressing the power dynamic because black people do not have the power dynamic to, you know, eye for an eye. We can't be racist. We can, however, be prejudiced because everyone has that capability is being prejudiced, but only with racism. See, your ancestors worked so hard to create the system. The least you could do is acknowledge it. I'm just saying, like, acknowledge the inheritance you have. I'm white and proud. Yeah, so is the Klan. Keep it pushing, Cody.
Of course his name is Cody.
Woman, why are you frustrating yourself with these comments? Because I feel like if I just work myself in a big enough frenzy, I'll be able to go back to sleep. But I can't. So now I'm
It's
just
not gonna happen.
so I'm up with these fools entertaining this nonsense. But I do have some great news, though. I just want to get off the topic of race for a second because I know white people like ain't gonna stop. Um, so when I was at the meeting today, or I should say yesterday, with with community organizers, here's what happened. So I was told by another activist that they had some podcast equipment that they were going to give me. So that was the other good news that I have. Some people have been, talking about how I should do a podcast where I basically do what I typically get paid to do, but I do it on another platform where I'm able to really talk more in depth about race relations, um, and the climate here in Southern Oregon. And I am in agreement because here's the thing. Um, Southern Oregon does not get a lot of exposure, and I live in Southern Oregon while black. And normally, when people think of Oregon, they think of Portland. It's unfortunate, but yeah. So, with that being said, doing this podcast, I want to spread awareness about the kind of area that I live in. But it wouldn't just be talking about Oregon's racial history. It would also be talking about, okay, so what have we been doing within this community to make a difference and to make Southern Oregon more inclusive? And that's where I would come in. And then I thought to myself, what if I could continue to be a resource for white people living in a predominantly white area who don't know where to start with their anti-racism education. So literally talking about the books that I buy, talking about the topics of conversation that have gone on in the black community. Why do we feel this way? Why do we have some opposing viewpoints within the black community? And then just talking about how black people are not a monolith. Here's why some people think this way. Here's why some think a different way. It's honestly, I will never run out of topics. Okay, we'll see how this goes.
Oh, Chicano Bone is cool. Yo,
Hello.
what's up?
Hi.
Hello. Hello, Governor.
Oh.
Good day.
She said, hold on.
How are y'all doing?
Right.
What's the word?
Bird is the word.
That is awesome. So, where are y'all calling in from?
We are live from California. Hey.
Hey, P&W in the house.
Where are you from?
Well, I'm from Baltimore City, Maryland, but I currently live in Southern Oregon.
Southern Oregon.
Huh?
How's Southern Oregon? How's that?
Racist as hell.
Oh,
Oh.
Okay, here's what I heard though. On a completely different note, I heard that Mexican food is better in California than in Oregon. Is that true?
hands down. Yeah, first. You know what?
Okay.
I've been around the country and I've tried different Mexican food from different places.
Hmm.
Nothing compares to LA Mexican.
Okay.
Not even like Bay Area Mexican food.
The Bay Area Mexican food is quite
It's good.
Okay.
It's alright, but it's
It's
not.
alright. It's alright. Okay.
It'll get you by. It'll get you by. But LA Mexican food is legit.
Okay. Okay.
where we all reside, so it makes sense.
I'm gonna have to.
We're not.
Okay, I need to ask because I went to an Oregon high school, and I have always wanted to ask this question, just as a fellow non-white.
Okay.
Um, I wanted to know: is there an unspoken division between Mexican people from California versus Mexican people born in Oregon? I is there a
Uh,
I don't know
think
any
so.
Mexican born in
An Oregon, yeah. So I wouldn't really
personally, so
know.
I wouldn't really know how to answer that. But
Yeah,
okay?
I
that
don't think so
alone
though.
says a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A lot
cause Oregon don't visit California, but I run into some folks from California living in Oregon though, and I'm like, why has that been? I need to
Well,
investigate because I'm from the East Coast, so I don't know how shit go.
I'm
Shit is
trying to
different.
figure it out myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm trying to figure that out. No, but yeah, California Hispanic people are. I mean, I guess they're different from like anywhere else. I guess. Yeah,
Just built different, I guess.
I
Like
think so.
that's
No.
great though. That's great.
if California hit up Southern California, you will be more than satisfied.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's beautiful.
Oh.
That
But awesome too is like there's different types of food everywhere. Like I'm a foodie, so I not only do I.
What is there to eat in Oregon?
That's what I was gonna go with. There's food out there.
okay, so
Like,
Hold on.
well, we got
I,
McDonald's. We got McDonald's. And,
okay, so I will have to go with the sushi is pretty amazing, I think. And there's only one uh Mexican food place that I trust, and it's a food truck.
that's a lot.
hey, no, but, sometimes the food trucks be hidden for real.
Oh, yes.
They be hidden
Jose's Taco Food Truck has been an everlasting part of my college days.
on the school right now.
Well, not anymore, but back when I was, I want to say 20, I was in college and doing the whole work, go to school thing, work till I bleed. And whenever I was in between classes or something like that, Jose's Taco Food Truck, man. Like sometimes you don't have an attitude, you just hungry.
Hungry.
And Jose understood.
I have a sign in my kitchen that says, "I'm sorry about what I said when I was hungry."
Yes!
I didn't. I was just hungry.
I was just hungry.
I'm sorry.
Amen. That's literally me though. Like don't talk to me when I'm hungry. I will say
Have
some
you
shit.
tried Raising Cane's?
Who?
Oh damn.
Raising Cane's, it's like a chicken. It's like a chicken
Oh
fry
damn.
spot. It's like popular over here, but it's like KFC, but like
It's way better. It does not compare.
Okay.
No, no,
it's
no,
just chicken
no,
tenders.
no. All right, that's blasphemy
No,
that you're
no,
saying
no,
that.
no,
Fuck that.
It's blasphemy.
Bomb as fuck.
The sauce.
The sauce.
Honestly,
The
yeah.
sauce.
Okay, fine. The finger sauce is pretty good.
Damn.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I'm not
ramen.
gonna lie though, being over here on the West Coast, I am from the East Coast, okay? More specifically, I am from Baltimore. I miss seafood, okay?
That's why sushi makes sense.
Yeah,
I miss because I don't trust.
like I don't trust
I don't
motherfuckers
trust the
out here.
fishermen.
Like I don't. Like I'm trying not to hate so much, but I gotta let it out. So, this is how I know racist places be the worst places to eat at because the food be terrible. Like you
Oh
can
yeah.
taste the caucasity. Um,
Oh my God, Cassidy, I never
I'm
heard that.
serious. I'm serious though.
In my mouth. The
Because I
Comcast.
went to Coos Bay.
Uh
It sounds like a white area because it is a white area. So Coos Bay is in Oregon, you know, nice scenery, don't get me wrong. I went to, was it a German spot that we went to? Zach,
Fuck you.
huh. She's like,
was
okay,
it a
hold on.
German spot that we went to in Coos Bay that one time?
Yeah.
The one
What
with
is
the
that?
Asian
What's that one?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, it was a German spot. So they had seafood there and I got
Uh,
a
I knew what. I mean, I kind of knew. We walked in there, and I was like, okay, table for two, please. And they're like, ich bin starving, ich bin talking.
They hung out here.
so I went with my roommate to this place in Coos Bay, this German spot, and I ordered a shrimp sandwich because I thought
Popeyes is the
that because I'm in a coastal town that I would get the catch of the motherfucking day on my sandwich. But
oh, you
much
back
to
in?
my dismay, it was
Okay.
some. Don't you know those really tiny cocktail shrimp that you be seeing at Walmart?
Mm-hmm.
That's what the fuck was on my sandwich. I was so pissed. I'm like, first of all, I'm mad at my damn self because I forgot my Old Bay seasoning at home.
Mm. Terrible.
And I didn't know that I was going to need it. But see, this is why I am never lacking. I keep a container of Old Bay seasoning in my car because you never know when there will be a seafood moment
Yeah.
and it requires extra seasoning.
Yeah.
I am
Like
aware
that.
of the place in which I live. It is very white. So,
out. White.
like, oh my God. Why would you order shrimp from a German restaurant? Because the German restaurant was in a coastal area. The water is
You
right
would think.
there.
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna change. Like coastal areas down here, even in California, are very white. You know, so it's. I feel it. I definitely feel that
So,
one.
someone said most places will give you frozen shrimp now. Even San Pedro fish market stuff is frozen.
That's
And
fucked up. That is fucked up. Cause you ain't paying no frozen seafood prices.
no,
You paying out the ass.
yeah, you're paying that premium shit.
Hello.
Hey, it was such a good time talking to you. You take care, okay?
You too. I'm gonna go to California and try some
Good.
Mexican food. I'm gonna do that.
Oh, you gotta do that. Tacos tumbados in Anaheim.
Anaheim. Got it.
Oh,
I'm on it.
all right.
Have
See
a
you
good
later.
night, y'all.
Bye.
Well, they were nice people. I had a great time. See, this is what happens. Just black and brown solidarity. Can I get an amen, please? Need to stick together, okay? Establish some solidarity. I realize there's still some anti-blackness, you know, but we can address it. I feel like we can move past it. I feel like we have a better chance as black people to move past the anti-blackness within non-white communities better than we have at addressing anti-blackness within white communities, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, it's not going to happen all the time, but I feel like it happens at a higher rate. But that's just my 2 cents. How about race not mattering? Well, it unfortunately, because of y'all's ancestors. See, aren't y'all more upset at your ancestors now that they done did some bullshit and now they have passed the buck on to you? I am Mexican. Okay, and didn't I just now say that there is anti-blackness within that community as well? It's there for a reason. I mean, but of course, I'm not the correct person to have this conversation with. Yes, I know I'm black, but I'm not, Afro Latina. So if we could just get somebody on here from that community to speak on it, because I can't speak on that. Ask them, though, because they have some choice words to say. You're the problem. We should be united no matter what race. Well, there's a reason why we're not united. I'm trying to talk about the reason we not. That doesn't make me the reason we not. I'm just pointing out the elephant in the fucking room. What you mean? What, your ancestors, they're your ancestors too. Bullshit. Do you really think that I can just walk outside, obviously during the day, and tell white people, I'm Irish too? Do you think they're going to believe my black ass? Hell no. I'm Irish too, people. It's like, don't worry, I'm a fellow white person. Hell, it's not going to go over well. It's not. It's not going to go over well. And it's so funny too because there are blacks in Ireland that say that's Ireland. This is America. In America, we don't do that here. We don't do that here. We do bigotry here. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Wait a minute. Somebody in the comments said I don't look 100% black. What is 100% black supposed to look like? Cause this is where a lot of white folks get kind of caught up because just because they see a light-skinned black person, they automatically assume that perhaps that person is of mixed race. Like they don't think that black people are just capable of being lighter skinned. And also, I'm not even light-skinned, like I'm brown-skinned. Like, let me put this down for a second. Like, is there a filter on? Can I change it? Can I? No. Nope, this is as good as it gets. Okay. Seriously, here's how I knew it was very white where I lived is that growing up in Baltimore City, Maryland, I was never called dark. But when I got to Southern Oregon though, I was called dark all the time. And I just kind of let that sink in. So, and this is a topic of conversation for my other fellow black folks is that when we're talking about colorism, I wanted to address that I I can't say that I'm dark skinned. And I'm not saying that dark skinned black women aren't beautiful or that dark skin is not beautiful in general. What I'm saying is that I feel that I am taking away from certain experiences that come with being what white society perceives to be a dark skinned black woman because no black man has ever looked at me and called me dark or darky or that I'm as black as night. But growing up in Baltimore though, because there colorism is everywhere. Growing up though, I remember I was in fifth grade and this light skinned uh black boy was making fun of this darker skinned black girl in my class. And she was darker than me in complexion, See, I don't have the experience of being dogged by other black men for my skin tone. So that's why I don't think that I could necessarily call myself a dark skinned black woman. But that's always something that I've kind of been battling though, because I'm trying to figure out like where I fit, I guess, on the color spectrum. Because here's what I've realized is that even though I don't fit the category of a dark skinned uh, black woman, I still do have um, the experience of anti blackness, but from non black POCs and white men. Like I've noticed that there will be white guys that don't see anything wrong with supporting the Confederacy, but will still wind up in my inbox. So then I think about, okay, so do I have a certain pretty privilege that I like? I'm really trying to analyze all aspects of my black experience because people on the outside looking in seem to think that this isn't a major issue, that I'm just talking out the side of my neck, but I'm being serious because if you don't look a conventional way, you're going to receive more anti-blackness and more hatred. So then, if you're conventionally attractive, then you'll get more tokenized, or more racist white men will try to date you and try to say, "Look, I'm not racist. My girlfriend is black." I can't be the only one. Like somebody black. Can somebody say something? Look, you are clearly talking out the side of your neck. You not black. I wasn't talking to you. Matter of fact, oh yeah, and you only got 100 followers. Blocked. so it so it bothers darker women. Okay, so I don't want to take away from their experience because in a predominantly white area, my brown skinned ass is dark. But in a place full of black people, I'm black like everybody else. I'm not particularly the darkest person in the room. So just like trying to be wary of that, you know, because I'm not trying to be problematic on the colorism tip. You know what I'm saying? And people on the outside looking in, they think we bullshitting. My mom's side of the family hails from the West Virginia area. So that's where colorism was invented. So my mom went through it, and my mom was brown skinned. She didn't even have a darker skin complexion at all. And my aunt had a much lighter skin tone, and she was treated differently. Um, so it like you really see this shit at a young age. And people think that, oh, it has nothing to do with your adult life today. That's bullshit. Yes, it does. Colorism is still very much prominent within the black community as well as within non black communities and white communities. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I won't because I really don't tolerate that bullshit because I'll be damned. And this is what I think that people on the outside looking in of an interracial relationship don't seem to understand is that they seem to think that if I'm in a relationship with someone who isn't black, that I'm automatically talking down or looking down on my own race. If I do that, and I'm like, no. If there was ever a situation where, well, let's use my ex as an example because he is white. If there was ever a situation where he said something negative about a darker skinned black woman, to be perfectly honest with you, I would have broken up with him right there. Because if you're going to look down on a black woman just for having darker skin, what does that make me? I'm out. Deuces. We don't need to continue the conversation. You can sit here and try to create umpteen amount of excuses. You can sit here and be like, I promise I won't do that again. I'm sorry, I love you. Like, no, I'm out. Conversation over. But not everyone does that. Not everybody has that mindset. And there are some white folks that enter into relationships with black people and think that the person that they're with isn't potentially problematic. Like, how do you know that black person isn't with you? Because they're colorist. What if they just didn't want black children? Don't, they're out there. Okay, that's fair. And to be perfectly honest with you, um, I'm one of the lighter skinned members on my dad's side of the family. On my dad's side of the family, I'm one of the lighter skinned ones. I think I maybe have one cousin that's lighter than me on that side. And then on my mom's side, like everybody is brown skinned. And then because my aunt and my mom got different dads, when I went to a family reunion with my aunt's side of the family, I was like, wow, they mixed on that side of the family. And it's like, and people seem to think that having West Virginia ties has nothing to do with it. Yes, the fuck it does. West Virginia is the fucking birthplace of fucking colorism, and like y'all can't tell me shit. Um, but the fact that it has that much of an impact on my family is that why we look like that in certain parts of my family. Meanwhile, on my dad's side of the family, when I asked my dad's side of the family, I was like, hey, so where were we from originally? And so that's when they said La Plata, Maryland. And that's like at the southernmost tip of Maryland. If I know the state has a weird shape. That's not the point. The point is though, is that um looking at what my dad's side of the family looks like, most of them are darker skinned. And I'm like in the middle. So I've never been to the southernmost tip of Maryland. I've never been to La Plata, Maryland. I've only ever seen Baltimore, surrounding area, all of that stuff. So it's just something to think about. Like, how has colorism affected your literal entire life? And to be perfectly honest with you, if my birth control wasn't working overtime when I was messing with that Jamaican dude, then yeah, I probably would have had a darker skinned baby. But Russian roulette, it was the white guy is the father. So
Dom, once in my life, I think I need a cop.
mm,
There's someone in my comments saying that turning 18 instantly makes you an adult, and a 30-year-old hitting on an 18-year-old isn't creepy.
no thanks.
Do me a favor and call child services real quick.
What is confirmation bias? You've literally been in my comments being obtuse this entire time. Can we please stop pretending you're trying to learn something? Because you're not. Actually, as a matter of fact, let me. You're awesome. Well, thank you. And living in Southern Oregon, there are a lot of mixed children that live out here. And so analyzing how colorism has affected your life, you'll be a better resource for talking to children that are going to have to go through the same thing. and even more so simply because they are of mixed race, and so they're going to have um, a harder time with identity because of the area in which they live. And I know people are going to disagree. They're going to be all like, what? No, that's bullshit. And no, I'm literally saying this because mixed children have come up to me and wanted to talk to me about this. Because apparently, I guess I'm just not afraid to have this conversation, whereas their white relatives try to avoid the subject like the plague, which is saying something because they don't avoid COVID like that. In my house, we joke about colorism. My daughters call me a white woman all the time. Not gonna lie. I so I freaked out my best friend one time because he never because I this is back when I was working from home and I was working for Blue Cross Blue Shield. He didn't know that black people code switched. So he met a completely different person when I was using my work voice. Um it was like what white woman was in here just now? Like, that's not you. And I'm just like, it's the price of working in a white society while black. So that you gotta code switch. Honestly, and I say this uh, with all seriousness, I love the TV show Big Mouth because it talks about code switching. I didn't realize they were going to go in on that one black chick because she's mixed. She has a white mom, she has a black dad. And like, I didn't think that they would go in on the struggles that mixed children go through growing up, where the white mom was kind of being nonchalant about blackness, didn't want her daughter to associate with blackness in any way. Um, but then her black side of the family was like, girl, you need to get your hair done. Let me introduce to you some hair care products that'll work. Why your mama got you using a 3-in-1 goddamn shampoo, conditioner bullshit? No, you need these products. Like, doing shit like that. I did not think that Big Mouth was going to go in like that, but I'm happy that they did. Because at first I thought the show was weird as fuck. But I'm like, okay, it has its moments. I'm going to let this slide. I'm going to let, that, and I think, and I also think about that one movie called Sorry to Bother You. The fucking horse people movie. You thought it was about to be a normal movie about racism, but then it turned into sci-fi real quick. I can only imagine. Yeah. He was surprised. Yes, like I did not know that Big Mouth was gonna go in like that, but I'm glad. I'm glad. Big Mouth go in on everything. They really do though, and I just hey, wait a minute. Did Big Mouth come out with a new season?
Not out yet, but it's supposed to come out at some point.
Oh, what the new season?
This person is fighting so hard to defend the idea of 18-year-olds make good decisions.
Mm.
Honey, when I was 18, I was fucking someone who was 56. And I didn't find that weird at the time. You just justify the fact that I know damn well that person is probably fucking a teenager.
Well, what do you mean probably? They absolutely are. Wait a minute. Let me address some of these comments. I'm taking a travel assignment in Klamath Falls in December as an Arab American Muslim woman. Okay,
Run!
Shut up. Let me say it. It's my life. Damn. Okay, so Klamath Falls is racist. Racist. You prepare to hear microaggressive conversations about 9/11 if you come to Klamath Falls. Just from me to you. From me to you. In Baltimore, I was very used to seeing people wearing hijabs and full burqas. Not these people. Not these people. Oregon is the south of the north. That's how I would put that. Okay. I haven't seen that movie. Okay, so basically, thanks or sorry to bother you is about this. The concept is about code switching, essentially. This black man, he works for a telemarketing company. He code switches, and then what it is actually a voiceover of a white person talking over him, but it's talking about code switching and working in corporate America while black. There was even a part in the movie where he was invited to meet the head honcho of the place, and they think that just because he's black and came from the hood that he can rap. So he basically uses their microaggressions and racism to basically get a promotion, essentially. But completely out of left fucking field, there's a part in the movie where he's not even rapping because, not all black people can fucking rap. Like, I don't understand. But anyways, so he's not rapping. He's quite literally just saying the N-word. And then they're just repeating after him. And I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? So should I worry about racism? Yes. You say you are an Arab, Muslim, American? Yes. They are racist as fuck out here. The part where he freestyles, yeah, cringe as fuck. Cringy. I really thought it was more of a liberal state. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Everyone thinks that because of Portland. And something that we really need to dispel is the toxic notion that liberal cities are just a anti-racist safe haven. No, the fuck it's not. Let me give you an example. Liberals will say, we need to stop disenfranchising black and brown communities. We need to stop dirtying up Native Americans' clean water on reservations, but then be excited as fuck for gentrification. Like, literally, gentrification is the new colonization. Why? Because you run out all of the people of color, you bulldoze over it, eradicate what resources black and brown communities have, and then you take over. That's basically what gentrification is. But again, these so-called liberal cities profit from gentrification. And in these gentrified cities, you will find these cutesy little shops where it's run by white people, and they are quite literally profiting off of cultural appropriation. So, yeah. And I know that because I've been to Portland like 3 times. The parking sucks, but yeah, I've been, and that's how I would describe it, is that it's polite racism. It's structural violence. They're not directly doing it, but they support that kind of thing. Oh, yep, so you did see it. Okay. Hello from New Mexico. Well, hello. Up here in little old Southern Oregon here. Portland has a racist history. The entire state, but yes. Asians with beauty supply companies also. Yeah. Yeah. What about white people who says that they're Native Americans? Yes, that is definitely a problem, and this is where I struggle because as a black person and I see a white person and they automatically say, "Oh, I have Native American in my family," or something like that. I feel some type of way about calling that out because I myself am not native, and so I don't want to speak over indigenous voices in that scenario. However, I do bring up that as a rule of thumb, if you have to announce to people that you're indigenous, you have some white passing uh, qualities then that affects your experience interpersonally in America. And if you don't recognize how being white passing will uh, will affect certain conversations, I don't know what to tell you. Case in point, I know someone that she looks like a white woman, um, but she has the documentation saying that she has members in her family that are from the Cow Creek Band of Umpqua here in Oregon. And so, with that being said, I didn't think anything of it until one day I saw what she posted on Facebook. And that's how I would sum them up is she said that, oh, everyone is crying about uh BLM, but what about the indigenous children mass graves that were just uncovered? And I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight. You're trying to play oppression Olympics and you're trying to justify the racial gaslighting of black people because of the mass graves of indigenous people. There are levels to how that's fucked up. Because you can care about multiple things. Mass graves, that's fucking crazy. If you think that there's, or if you stumble across mass graves of indigenous people, um, how many mass graves do you think there are of previously enslaved Africans? Like for real, because that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Is that I would love to have Black and Indigenous solidarity. It's just that we have to come to the realization that we are both um, impacted by white supremacy. So don't blame another marginalized group when we don't have power either. So there was no reason for that. But that's been my experience with someone more white passing but has indigenous paperwork. Yeah, that structural violence. Yes. Even in Ashland, Oregon. Ashland, Oregon is supposed to be this liberal safe haven in Southern Oregon, and Ashland has a racist history too, with A, being a sundown town, B, being a previous headquarters of the Klan, and C, that is a very gentrified college town. And they will arrest homeless people like any other place. They treat homeless people like dirt over there as well, despite being liberal. Yeah, guess why some white people have it? Because of raping natives. Yeah, and I don't want to bring that up because it's like not my place. But it's like at the same time, we're going to have to acknowledge it at some point. And when we're talking about, Black and Indigenous issues, the only thing that I talk about is the portion of history where Black and Indigenous folks interact, and that would be during the slave trade. So when white people tried to say, "Oh, but Indigenous people own slaves too," do you hate them too? And it's like, so they also have been impacted by white supremacy. They were forced into participating in the slave trade by colonizers. So I'm not going to put that all on them. At the end of the day, their land was still stolen from them. So I think that's something we need to address. And the anti-blackness within the indigenous community also came from uh, the slave trade that they previously participated in. And there's a wonderful book that talks about it. It's called Black Slaves, Indian Masters, where it talks about the five tribes that participated in the slave trade. And it talks about the laws that were put in place where they were against indigenous and black people marrying, but they weren't against indigenous people and white people marrying. And so you have to wonder, why is that? And so, I want to talk about it from that standpoint, and so just trying to provide that piece of information, because I'm not trying to continue this level of hatred. I'm literally just trying to point it out and, you know, bring that out in the open. Like, let's not scapegoat is my point. What's a sundown town? Okay, so a sundown town is a location where they want to be whites only. And it's usually through white mob violence that before the sun goes down, they force black people to leave. Oregon was meant to be a white ethno state, so they had black exclusionary laws. And the more prominent sundown town areas were Medford, where I live, Ashland, uh, Jacksonville, Grants Pass, also a sundown town, and KKK safe haven. Um, and then Portland had a very large Klan presence, but it wasn't necessarily a sundown town. Instead, it was one of those metro areas where black people went instead of residing in Southern Oregon when those exclusionary laws were lifted little by little. But in the Portland area, there is evidence of redlining where you'll get a deed to a house, let's say, in the Portland area, and in the deed to the house, it'll say, don't sell this to a black person. They have seen evidence of that shit. And sometimes they address it, but it's like, you got to understand, Southern Oregon, or I shouldn't say Southern Oregon, I should say the state of Oregon, um, did not remove the racial slurs from their state constitution until 2002. Google that. I bullshit you not. 2002 is when they decided, oh, we should probably remove the N words and anti Asian sentiments from our Constitution. Oh, two. Like, that's mind boggling. But they want to swear up and down that, oh, we're not racist. No, not at all. Why did it take so long to take the racial slurs out of your Constitution then? Unpopular fact: abortion is murder. Actually, no, you just want to control women's bodies. If abortions made you feel uncomfortable so much, you would be advocating for men getting a vasectomy, but instead you're like, no, women need to be forced to have a baby. It's like, just say you're pro forced birth. Just say that. It's very simple. Yeah, polite racism. You lived in Washington State, there was polite racism, and then you moved down south. Yeah. 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 Yes, this country is built off of hate. And the longer we prolong it, the worse it's gonna get. And people gaslight all the time. Oh, why is everything about race? It's because white supremacists made it about race, hence the invention of race science. We based our entire society off of race science. We're all well aware that race is a social construct, but that doesn't take away from the fact that we built an entire society based off of that. I'm Lakota, Spanish, and Irish. I'm not listening to this nonsense later. Eh. Yeah, exactly. You know, the more you try to open up to people, the more you truly get to the root of how racist white folks are. Yes. They'll say, I'm not racist, but black people do commit 50% of the crimes despite being 13% of the population. Literally, the 1350 talking point is a white supremacist talking point. But the fact that they refuse to believe it, and black TikTokers have gotten on here and explained statistics multiple times, but white people refuse to listen. So, and then the fact that they're like, how is that racist? It's fact. No, it's not fact. It's quite literally, you want to justify the stereotype that black people are inherently violent. So then you bring up that talking point in order to justify it. That would be confirmation bias. Yes. Yeah, US history is mind blowing. Exactly. Exactly. Racist laws still in the books, like in 14 or more states. And then when I initially came to Southern Oregon, the one thing that I have noticed is that white children, white middle schoolers, at the time that I was in middle school, would be happy and giddy to tell me that this is a sundown town. So that raises a question. If you're not racist and your folks and where you live is not racist, why do you feel excited to tell a black person that the place in which they live is a sundown town and technically the law hasn't been taken off the books? Why did you feel the need to tell that person that? Because it's not like you told that black person for their safety. It's because you thought it was funny. So if you think that telling a black person that they live in a sundown town is funny, clearly you had to learn that from somewhere. And we don't want to bring light to the fact that you learned that from your parents. You learned that from the environment in which you live. If they're not going to take racism seriously, why should you? And that's how that works. And the fact that I'm hearing this from children, and then switch that from the adults, I would hear, oh, uh, Oregon abolished slavery before the rest of America did. Oh, we're awesome. No, you're not, because you left out the part where you had exclusionary laws. So why would you lie to a black person? You're trying so hard to prove that Oregon isn't racist, but you're quite literally showing how racist Oregon still is. And that's the reason for my job, that I'm doing independent contractor work now, because I don't work for a particular organization anymore. And I'm trying to establish an organization of my own, so I can secure a tax ID so that I can apply for grants and continue to do the work that I've been doing within my community. Other people may not value anti-racism talks and book discussions and forums, but that's on them. However, when people say, oh, well, no one ever told me, well, you didn't take the time to learn. And so if people are taking time out of their day to provide these resources for you, then you should learn. But if you don't, you're making the conscious decision to remain ignorant, and that's not my problem. So do you believe minimum wage should be $15 an hour? No, it should have been $35 an hour, because that would be how we can afford shit. You can't afford a fucking thing with $15 an hour. You just can't. Why can't the father have a choice and be a dad? Okay, listen. If we're gonna, and I recognize that there's like 90 more messages in this fucking thing, but I'm going to address this question right here. Why can't the father have a choice and be a dad? Okay. So, I myself am a product of rape. Do with that information what you will. My mother was 14 years old when she had me. My father was 20, and that's on my birth certificate. So that's how I know. So I'm really not bullshitting here. I really am a product of rape. So with that being said, it's not that you want the man to have a say in having a baby. It's that you want to control that woman's body. Because get this, if the man wanted a child, the man should date a woman who also wants a child. If you want a child, go be with somebody that also wants a child. But if you are trying to coerce minors into having babies, you're a fucking pedophile. A monster. That's it. And then, for those that are saying abortion is murder, get this. If you were so concerned about abortion, you would have men get vasectomies, because that would prevent it. Vasectomies can get reversed, and then y'all can go and procreate with women that are consenting and have those kids that you want. But see, the thing is, though, is that you don't go for women that want to have babies. You coerce women into having sex with you, and then potentially a baby may result in that, and you're upset that the woman has a choice to opt out. If you wanted a child so damn much, be with a woman that wants the same. At the end of the day, you're going to have to also be a team player to the woman, because at the end of the day, you don't go through 9 months of hell. We do. And then my ex, he impregnated 2 women in a year. Me and some other woman. That's irresponsible, considering he's in prison and the 2 women that he impregnated are taking care of the children by themselves. Clearly, the wrong body is being regulated. See, I can't reproduce multiple times in a year. It's going to happen the one time, and it's going to take 9 months in order to make that child happen. And only one being the result, whereas a man can impregnate however many kids as his sperm can produce in other women. if we're too busy trying to keep women from abortions. If he has unprotected sex with 20 women, there's going to possibly be 20 plus babies. That's irresponsible as fuck. But see, we're not regulating men's bodies now, are we? We're regulating women's. The misogyny for me. Oh, spare me. What are your pronouns? My pronouns are she, her. Thanks for asking. That's just it. Why is it the knee jerk reaction to put all of the responsibility on the woman? It takes two to tango. It does. So with that being said, I haven't run into a woman yet who hasn't experimented with many different forms of birth control. We're the ones going to the doctors frequently. If we wear the wrong underwear, our pH balance will be thrown the fuck off. Meanwhile, there will be men that will have sex with multiple women and not even wash their dick in between each fucking situationship. That's fucking nasty. But it happens. Spare me. If a man wants a child, he should go to a woman that also wants a child. I hate to break it to you, but you actually have to be likable. Crazy. And y'all really gonna get y'all feelings hurt if we ever start talking about what rape culture is, because men like to say not all men, but the second that we start talking about how coercion is also a form of rape, y'all get butthurt. Oh, the conversation switches up real quick. Not all men, but every woman has had a situation where a man has made her feel uncomfortable. It's like, how come no men know any rapists, but we have a plethora of sexual assault cases and victims? My ex being one of them. My ex is quite literally in prison for rape. Like, y'all really about to get y'all feelings hurt, like for real, because um there will be men out there, like, it's very clear you hate women, and the second we try to talk about rape culture, you'll be all like, but women too. We live in a patriarchal society. So at the end of the day, white cis men are, unfortunately, at the top of the food chain in this society. So, with that being said, um, we need to look at the flow of power, and y'all are at the top. You're not being oppressed just because women are saying no, or women want to be more independent and not have to rely on y'all's asses for a bank account. Like like the fact that we have women alive today that know what it was like to have to be married to a man in order to have access to finances. Like, that's pretty fucking backward. And to be perfectly honest with you, um, whenever women talk about their experiences with sexual assault and things like that, um, men who gaslight seem to think that we don't want to address the women uh, that lie about rape. And it's like, well, yes, I would love to address that, but that doesn't take away from the fact that women who do report their legitimate abuse get gaslit, uh, and more often than not, their rapist goes free. So, what was the point? It's terrible, but that's the society that we live in. And then I I'm a boy mom. Okay? I have a son, and eventually, we're going to have the sex talk, and um growing up is hard to do. But you know what? Um People seem to think that the sex talk is supposed to happen only at one time, in one setting. No, little by little, you're supposed to teach your kids about boundaries. I think people seem to think that having the sex talk should start with like genitals and things like that, and I'm like, no. Right now my son is 4 years old, and I tell him all the time that um, it's okay to have boundaries, but guess what? You also have to respect the boundaries of others. So right now, we're still struggling with that part. Is that um, for like interacting with him, um, when I go to sit down, he immediately wants to get up out of his chair and climb all over me, and I'll go, no, no, no. You got to go sit back down over there because I'm not in the mood. So that's me setting a boundary. But then also vice versa, because this is also where some parents tend to get lost in the sauce. Because what if, my son says, uh, no, I don't like that. Okay, don't do that. So with that being said, uh, if he doesn't want a hug, he doesn't need to get a hug. If he doesn't want a kiss on the cheek, he doesn't have to get a kiss on the cheek. I'm literally teaching him that yes, his body is his own, and it also goes the same for other people, is that their body is their own too. So, it's a two-way street. So, like, we're already establishing that, and he's a child. And then also because, we're potty training and everything, I've been kind of debating on uh do I come up with nicknames for the privates, or do I just tell him what his genitals are? And honestly, I just settled on just telling him what his genitals are, because um I think that's one step closer to combating uh sexual assault, is that if something does happen, God forbid, he doesn't come up with a nickname for it. He just says what it is. Somebody touched me here, and then he says it instead of beating around the bush, so to speak. But that's just me. If a girl falsely accuses your son, he could face life in prison. You're okay with that? Who the hell said that? I said, obviously, acknowledging that there are some people that lie about sexual assault, they do need to be brought to justice. So, like, you really act like that doesn't happen within the black community. We have a long history of a white woman crying rape and a black man dying. Best believe that. Best believe. But guess what, though? No, I'm not okay with that. For right now, I'm talking about teaching kids about boundaries and how it's okay to set them. Absolutely. See, the goal is to teach my son to be an ally. And basically what that means is that um, practice setting boundaries, practice uh, safe sex when the time calls for having that conversation. I'm not looking forward to it, but it's going to happen eventually. And also, um, that coercion is also a form of rape. Like if a girl says no, that is a complete sentence. And don't try to let peer pressure convince you otherwise. Because guess what? If your male counterparts at school are telling you that no, you just need to be persistent, keep asking the girl, um, they're perpetuating in rape culture, and you need to call that shit out. Defund welfare, Democrat plantation. I swear. Y'all need to come up with a better playbook, my God. If a woman married your boy, she can break his heart and steal his house money and your grandkids. Just say you hate women. What the fuck? Are the straights okay? Are the straights okay? Come on now. Like, heartbreak happens to everybody. Like, what the fuck? Shit, sometimes marriages don't work out. Like, are the straights okay? Like, what the fuck, bro? uh it's so bad. It is. Anyway, if you're part of the LGBTQ, you should go to Afghanistan. They will love you. It's like y'all aren't even good trolls. That's why I'm offended. Is that if you're gonna be a troll, at least be a top tier one. But y'all are bottom feeders like nobody's business. Don't forget, 90% get spousal support. What? Like, I didn't realize how much woman hatred there was, but, you know, I'm not surprised. But that's just it, though, is that being a boy mom, teaching him to be an ally, it's not going to be an easy feat. And he will get peer pressured by his male counterparts. I'm very much aware of that. But see, at the end of the motherfucking day, this is how you um this is how you stop the cycle, is that when you uh create a healthy environment. What? Making your son work three jobs to meet child support and alimony. Ha ha ha. Seriously, are the straights okay? Are the heteros okay? Do they need a hug? What is going on with the heteros right now? Y'all are not okay. Someone needs to check on y'all. Cause y'all be hating, like hating. And I'm not even talking about hating everybody that isn't you. I'm just talking about hating your own fucking spouses. Like, I can't even count on one hand how many times straight people have talked about how much they hate their spouses. Y'all make that shit an Olympic sport. Y'all are not okay. Oh, wait a minute. You got me wrong on that. LMAO, single mother that raised three kids, so talk trash. Okay, so at least I get to point out that it's true that women do grow up having internalized misogyny. That's also the next topic of conversation. And I didn't realize that that was a thing until I came across, well, I should. I want to say acquaintance because we used to be friends, but they ended up being a trash human being. But anyway, so and it caught me off guard because she was a lesbian and it's like how you gonna be a lesbian but you have misogynistic talking points, but also she was a white lesbian, so that made perfect sense. Is that like she comes from a very like racist family, so obviously she's gonna have some fucking societal issues. But anyway, so she was trying to say that abortion is murder and I would never forgive you if you had an abortion, and I'm all like, bitch, you a lesbian. Your lifestyle doesn't even result in a fucking baby. Shut the fuck up, liberal. Like that was my response. So yeah, but that shit comes from wanting to please daddy. I know because I met him. And it's like, yeah, your father was completely homophobic when you were growing up, made you feel uncomfortable, and aside from pretend to be straight, you've done everything to try to please him. So you remain gay because that's how gay works. If you're gay, you're gay. So you remain in a same sex relationship, but you still do and say certain things in order to get daddy's fucking approval, in terms of saying that, oh well, if you have an abortion, well then you're a trash woman. Like, trust me, I have seen this shit. That's not going to make him less homophobic if you try to put other women down. But see, that's a conversation women not ready to have yet, so I'm gonna have to let you marinate on that. Abolish alimony and child support. I would imagine a misogynist would say some shit like that. It's like, if you don't want child support, don't have children. You could get that vasectomy like we were talking about earlier. You could do that. But anyway, so my phone is about to die. It's been great. It's been lovely. Okay. But I got to go. All right. So I'm going to look at these last few comments. Oh God, like y'all racist, like referring to like why are all the dark people successful? Like, you really fixed your mouth to say that. How do you not think like you can't possibly think you're not racist after that? Like, you can't. Like, just say it out loud. Uh she won't answer my question. Well, bold of you to assume I give a fuck about your question. I don't have to answer anything. Why does other dark people, like, that's already is a bad way to start off a sentence. Answer the question. No, in fact. Everything is racist to Ebonics people. How do you not think that that's not? Wow, like, y'all are racist in this bitch. That is sad. That is, hopefully, if I block them now, they'll be blocked forever. You just won't answer because you know he's right. Right about what? That he's racist? I didn't have to prove that. He kind of did that by himself. Why does other POC minorities have such success in the USA, like Indians and Vietnamese? Because Okay, so getting a business license or access to capital, like a business loan, non-black POCs from out of the country are accepted for those applications at a higher rate than black people here in America. There. I answered the question, but you're not going to believe me. You're going to be microaggressive in the comments. You're going to be obtuse. You're going to use whataboutisms. You're going to go off on a tangent. And it's like I could go further and explain to you what that means. But see, I'm not getting paid. So it's not worth discussing further. What you could do is look it up yourself. That's something you can do.